Welcome back to another video. I got a problem sent to me, a DAT question sent to me by a subscriber, and I just wanted to run through this question super fast. And this is a pattern folding question. So one of the biggest things when it comes to pattern folding questions is to understand that we need to fold any of the structures down into the page. If you can visualize that, we're not folding out at us, we are folding down into the page. The second thing, and the second biggest tip I have, is we need to pick a landmark and kind of stick with it and understand how that specific landmark fits into the overall folded structure. And I'll kind of explain that more as we go through this question. So this question we have is fairly straightforward, but this is a great question. Thank you to the person who sent this question to me because this is a great introductory question to kind of understand everything, all the mechanics of these types of questions. So the first thing that I want to do is kind of pick our perspective of how we are going to look at this problem. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to denote 3 squares, and we're really going to focus on these shaded squares here. So we have the yellow, the blue, and then we'll do a red square here. So in order to best visualize how this cube is going to be folded is we want to make sure we're looking at it in such a way that it kind of matches up with the answer choices. So what I'm going to do here is just draw a little arrow. So we're going to be looking at this square on the right, this one that has the poorly drawn arrow. That's going to be the front square of our perspective. That's how we're going to look at it. So if I were to draw this, okay, if we were looking at it, here's our square. Okay, this is if from the perspective that I chose based on how the answers look. This is the bottom right-hand square is going to be filled in and shaded, okay? Now, let's focus on the red square and kind of start putting this all together. So if we were looking at our blue square here head on, and this is all, if you've watched my previous videos, this is where all these perspectives come back. If you're looking at this blue square head on, we know that the red square is going to be on our right, okay? And if we were to fold, you kind of have to, this is something that you really have to be able to either visualize in your head or what I like to do, especially for these cube questions, is to use Post-it notes and actually kind of shade in the squares and walk yourself through this problem. But when you fold this, the red square I'm drawing in the red square here. The red square is actually going to be shaded on the top right here. Okay, and hopefully that makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, seriously, just get some Post-it notes and kind of physically fold this. But that's how it's going to look. Now, if we focus on our yellow square here, again, when we fold this, this is actually going to end up on the bottom of our square because here would be the side, and this would fold underneath the side to make the bottom of our cube. So if I were to draw this out, something like that, we are going to see that the yellow square is going to end up here. And this is, again, this is just something you have to kind of mentally work on, is understanding where these things end up. But based on our perspective here, we can automatically eliminate answer D. Why is that? Because we don't have any squares touching each other in that way, right? And in addition, we can also eliminate answer C. We don't have these 2 corners of squares touching anywhere. So use your perspective to drive your decision making. So based on that, we can eliminate C and D right off the bat. Now, if we look at answers A and B, what it really is going to come down to is this top square, whether the shaded portion is going to be in the front or if it's going to be in the back like this. So what we need to do is we need to visually, I'm going to scroll down here, we're going to need to rotate this square into perspective with the answers. So since the yellow is on the bottom, we're going to rotate it so that the yellow appears right in front of us. So we're going to have that head-on perspective of the yellow square. So here's our yellow square. When we do that, just keep track of your shaded squares. This is going to appear in the bottom left-hand corner. And similarly, when we rotate our red square is going to be here in this position. And finally, when we rotate this blue square, hopefully you can visualize this, is going to end up right here. And based on that, I'm going to drag this up here along with our answer choices. Based on that, we can see that B is going to be our correct answer, and we can eliminate A. So hopefully this clears it up, and hopefully I laid out some strategies that will be helpful for you. The first thing is to look at the answers and kind of understand what perspective you need to be looking at this object in. In this case, we chose a perspective. We started with this blue square, and we had to make one rotation, which is fairly simple, in order to exactly align it with the answer choices. Now, just based on our initial perspective, though, we were able to look at the shaded regions and eliminate half our answer. So especially if you're taking something, if you're taking the DAT, that's powerful for you, because now you have a 50% chance of getting this question right rather than a 25% chance. Now, the last thing is to really remember, and this might be confusing for some people when they're studying for the DAT and they're preparing for it. You just have to understand that we are folding these structures down into the page, okay? And keeping track of the landmarks like the shaded regions and this kind of front perspective square that we initially chose based on our answer choices was what was ultimately able to get us to our final answer of B. So hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for sending this question in. If you have any other questions and you want me to make a video of it, please let me know, and I would be happy to do that. So thank you again.